7 Minutes of Heaven game had changed my life. Hi, my name is Joan, and I'm 20 years old. For many years, I have a crush on my best friend Victor. My goal is to be his girlfriend, but then my plan suddenly changed when Victor's twin brother showed up. In high school, my biggest favorite was the school's symphony orchestra, because not only I could just show my talent with the violin, but also meet the guy I had long fallen in love with. That was Victor, a member playing cello in the orchestra. From the first time I met him, his handsome appearance and gentle smile had attracted me. Not only that, Victor is also very talented. He was the best cello player in the orchestra. Whenever I watched Victor play, I greatly admired his talent. Every gesture, every look in his eyes made me flutter. And I firmly believe that it was not just me, but a lot of other girls in school who felt that way. Victor also had a twin brother. His name was Max. Other than having the same appearance, Max's characteristics are completely different from his brother's. He was famous for being the biggest bully and brat in school. Apart from being the team leader of the football team, I didn't think Max was any good. The hatred I had for Max was even twice time bigger than the love I had for Victor, because Max picked on me frequently. He usually made fun of my not-so-outstanding appearance and my thick pair of glasses. I felt embarrassed every time he did that in front of everyone. Moments like that, Victor would show up and rescue me. He was willing to stand against his brother whenever the jokes crossed the line. Just for that, I loved Victor more and more. I wanted to wait for an appropriate chance to confess my feelings. Finally, the moment I had been waiting for arrived. That day, members of the orchestra decided to have a party at Victor's house. We planned on listening to music all night and participated in some interesting games. However, the party suddenly went sideways by an uninvited guest. It was no one else but Max. He said that it felt like fun, so he decided to join. Although it was a party only for orchestra members, it was occurring at Max's house anyway, so it was hard for us to turn Max down. In the end, we all had to agree. Not long after joining the party, Max complained that the atmosphere was too quiet. To add to the fun, he offered to play a game called 7 Minutes of Heaven. After hearing this, people started to get excited. As for me, I didn't like this at all, especially when it started by Max, the person I hated the most. But I didn't want to steal people's joy, so I joined reluctantly. Through Max's guidance, everyone sat in a circle. Max placed in the center a bottle of wine. Each would spin the bottle once. If the bottle picked anyone, the chosen one and the one who spun the bottle would have to enter the closet. There, they would have 7 minutes of privacy to do anything they wanted. One at a time, every member of the orchestra proceeded to spin the bottle. When it was my turn, I was extremely worried. I only hoped that I would not be embarrassed. But then, things got better than I imagined. Victor was my chosen one. I felt embarrassed, but also excited. I realized for the first time we had our own private space to have a conversation. It was a great chance to tell him how I felt. So Victor and I stepped into the closet. I went in first, and he was after me. My cheeks blushed. For being too shy, I could only turn away and didn't dare to look into my crush's eyes. After taking a big breath and taking all the courage I had, I slowly told him how I felt. Several minutes passed. A silent atmosphere covered the closet. I held my breath waiting for the answer from Victor, but returning me were giggles. I hurriedly turned around and found out the one next to me was Max. He replaced Victor's place to have a prank on me again. I was pissed off, opened the closet and left. Before leaving, I requested Max not to tell this to Victor. It was my love life and I wanted to tell Victor myself, not through Max. I didn't want him to turn my feelings for Victor into a joke. Max didn't say anything and only shrugged to agree. He was the worst, the one who always made me look pathetic. Later that night, I couldn't afford to sleep. I was afraid that Max wouldn't keep his words. But then the next morning, he surprisingly came to see me and gave me an appealing offer. Max said his results in studying were horrible, so the principal warned that he wouldn't let him play football if his scores for this semester didn't improve. The league was coming soon. Max was afraid that he would be eliminated from the team, so he came to see me negotiate. He wanted me to tutor him after class. Max knew that though I didn't have a great appearance, my grades were always on top. In return, Max would keep my secret. Not only that, he would show me how to be the type of girlfriend his twin brother liked. I hesitated upon hearing Max's offer. I didn't know whether he was being honest or he was pulling another prank. After a while of thinking and nonstop persuasion from Max, I agreed. Since that day, I shook hands with my enemy to successfully flirt with my crush. After every class, I would come to Max's house to tutor him. When we were free, Max would consult me on how to flirt with his brother. He showed me Victor's special interest, categories of film that he often watched, and even how to dress well. Thanks to that, I could talk more with Victor, and we slowly became close. I also didn't expect that since the day of our collaboration, our relationship between Max and me improved. We talked more. I realized that Max wasn't as mean as I thought. The fact that having a brother being so perfect sometimes could be Max's pressure. He always tried to come up with pranks to attract everyone's attention. Max is actually a very warm-hearted person. After every night of studying, he would take me home to secure my safety. There was once, knowing that my violin was broken, Max spent a lot of time finding me a new one. I was impressed by his actions. After a time, thanks to my tutoring, Max's studying records improved, and things between me and Victor were going pretty well. I decided to tell him. That day, I told Victor to come to the restaurant that we usually visited. I once again took all my courage to confess my love. I was confident that with the time we spent together, Victor definitely would say yes. However, once again I was disappointed. Victor straightly turned me down. He said that he already had a girlfriend, and to him, I was just an ordinary friend. Hearing that, I could only burst into tears and left. Coming home, I drank a lot of wine, trying to forget everything. Being too drunk, I came to see Max with a bottle of wine. I cried and told him everything. Max hugged me and tried to comfort me. With an unstable mind and the alcohol in my body, I slept with him. The next morning when I was sober, I realized I made a huge mistake. I silently left Max's room, and I tried to avoid both of the brothers ever since. A couple of weeks later, I surprisingly discovered that I was pregnant. I was pretty sure that Max was the dad of this baby, but I decided not to tell him this. I didn't want to drag Max into trouble. However, in some way, he found out. Max came to my house and said he would be responsible for the baby. He confessed. Turned out he had loved me for a long time. The fact that Max always pulled pranks on me was only because he wanted me to notice him. Also, the fact that Max cheated in 7 Minutes of Heaven was only because he wanted to be next to me. When knowing that I liked Victor, his own brother, Max was willing to take a step back for me to be with his brother. But now Victor and I could not be a couple, Max hoped that he would get the chance to know me better. Even though what Max said was honest, but at that moment I was still too into Victor, so I couldn't accept him. I didn't want Max to be the replacement. Time flew. Max still patiently pursued me. He always helped and silently supported me. Slowly, my heart was conquered by Max. Finally, 5 months ago, when our son turned 1, Max and I were officially dating. We are planning to marry next year. I wish all the best will come to my small family.